Fandoms are everywhere. It's practically impossible to do anything on the internet without coming across fans of beloved IP, ranging from Five Nights at Freddy's to Masters of the Universe. While there are numerous fandoms, it's not often that IPs cross streams in a massive way. That's at the heart of Funko Fusion, celebrating fandom using as many beloved IPs as possible. Ahead of Funko Fusion's release, Rant spoke with 1010 Games co-founder Arthur Parsons, lead designer Will Evans, lead character artist Sean Dudley, and animation director Andy Dolan about the heart and soul that was poured into the game. And when the heart and soul of a game is a fandom, it has the potential to be something truly special. Although fandom used to refer to sports fans, the term is used more widely now, encapsulating everything from anime to music to trains. It's funny to think that, however loosely, baseball played some role in a 2024 game that lets Mega Man, Chucky from Child's Play, Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead, and Omni-Man from Invincible run around in a 4-player co-op sandbox, and make no mistake, it is connected. Parsons describes the original concept of Funko Fusion as a real playground for fandom. The word might apply to more than baseball today, but at the heart of it is enthusiasm and dedication driven by pure love. Because of that dedication, Funko Fusion has not changed all that much from its original concept, which is nearly unheard of in the game industry. Parsons explained that the gameplay has generally stayed true to the concept, while the game structure itself has evolved in different ways, and the story stuck to the vision of a variety of different intellectual properties with a Funko narrative. The end result is that most changes were subtle, mainly revolving around mechanics, character unlocks, collectibles, and the general size and scope of the game. Of course, the size and scope of something like Funko Fusion is going to grow when the core of it is fandom. As Parsons explained, the team had a lot of fun picking franchises and characters to be in Funko Fusion, ranging from classic movies and TV shows to contemporary ones like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and Umbrella Academy. The team added even more throughout development, such as Five Nights at Freddy's, Invincible, and Mega Man, who all joined Funko Fusion later. As is typical for fandoms, this caused some very fun arguments among the development team. As Evans explained, this sounds like it'd be super easy, but in fact it caused a ton of arguments. There are some characters that obviously must be chosen, but so many of the IPs have amazing characters that it's almost impossible to pick one over the other. We all have favorites, deep cuts, and personal choices for various reasons, all while trying to predict what the fans will want. You never want to disappoint anyone, but there's a limit to how many we can do. However, we think the roster we ended on is a mix of all those things, and there's something in there for everyone. It's impossible to imagine all the legal work that went into making these IPs, turning them into playable characters, turning them into gamified Funko Pops, and turning them into complete worlds and levels. After all, companies like Capcom for Mega Man or Skybound for Invincible and The Walking Dead are not just going to let anyone into their playground. Because of that, there is a very important word in this equation, arguably more important than all the legal work: trust. This journey began in 2021 when 1010 Games CEO John Burton reached out and asked Funko for a partnership. Funko placed trust in 1010 Games because of the core team's legacy, heritage, and body of work, and that trust grew the whole project, brought in more IP, and saw Funko Fusion become the game it is today. Speaking to this trust, Parsons explained, "The most important thing when working with movie and TV franchises is that it's essential to have the creators of that content trust you. Trust that you know and love their properties, but also trust that you will give it the care and attention that they have. Gaining their trust means that any conversations then can focus on the creative, and that is how we can get the most out of what we are making." The most includes over 20 IPs for Funko Fusion, consisting of the following titles: Back to the Future, Battlestar Galactica, Child's Play, Five Nights at Freddy's, Funko, Hot Fuzz, Invincible, Jaws, Jurassic World, KFC, Knight Rider, Masters of the Universe, Megan, Mega Man, The Mummy, Nope, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Shaun of the Dead, Team Fortress 2, The Thing, The Umbrella Academy, Frankenstein, The Walking Dead, Voltron Legendary Defender, and Xena Warrior Princess. Funko Fusion treats Funko as an IP in its own right, as the company is synonymous with both fandom and fun. It's clear to 1010 Games and everyone at Funko that fandom and fun aren't just catchphrases, but words to live by. The 1010 Games team did a lot of work early on to make sure that they were capturing Funko Pops correctly, figuring out how to animate them, be expressive with them, and tap into the humor inherent to fandom and fun through these gamified figurines. As any collector knows though, Funko Funko Pops are more than just figures, they're iconic boxes too. As Parsons said, the Funko Pop box is iconic and instantly recognizable, so it had to be a key feature in the game, both from the Funko collector vibe of the character select, through to it being the method of travel between worlds and also how you change characters. But it doesn't stop there. We have included pretty much every ounce of Funko within the game. This includes important characters and Easter eggs from Funko's own characters, NPCs carrying around lounge fly bags, Mondo references, and many hidden secrets. The fun and fandom of Funko bled into Funko Fusion, making the game worthy of its title. Funko Fusion couldn't justifiably exist if it were just a Funko skin surrounding a lackadaisical story and lackluster gameplay, and that's where Funko's trust in Tintin games comes into play. Parsons would also explain that Funko is not only the glue that binds everything together, that connective tissue that runs through every element of the game, but it is also something that needs to be celebrated and loved throughout the game. Funko Fusion is the first title out of Tintin Games, a studio first formed in 2021. That makes the trust even more astounding out of context, but it's not hard to see why Funko put its trust in Tintin upon closer inspection. It is a studio comprised of industry veterans. Collectively, Parsons, Evans, Dudley, Dolan, and Burton have credits in LEGO Star Wars 2, the original trilogy, LEGO Marvel Superheroes, LEGO Batman the video game, LEGO Batman 2 DC Superheroes, LEGO Indiana Jones, The Original Adventures, LEGO City Undercover, and LEGO Harry Potter Years 5 to 7, among others, and each of which is among the best reviewed LEGO games of all time, and that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the pedigree of the team. When asked if Tintin Games took a story-first or gameplay-first approach to Funko Fusion, Parsons' answer was simple and effective. We have definitely adopted a fun-first approach. When players boot up Funko Fusion, they'll have a choice of 7 different worlds inspired by various IP like Jurassic World, Back to the Future, Masters of the Universe, and Invincible. These worlds are found within the Wonder Works, Freddy Funko's Toy Factory, and Parsons promises that there are plenty of surprises for the players within multiple locations. Each of these worlds consists of 5 levels, and completing each level gives the player a crown. Players can earn additional crowns through character and mechanic-specific puzzles and challenges, all of which are unlocked through playing the game. Players can tackle the worlds in any order and move on to another at any time as long as they have enough crowns to unlock them. This freedom in gameplay ensures everyone's playthrough will be a little different. The secret sauce is in completing that 5th level. As Evans explained, completing the 5th level in each world drives the story further, finding out more about what's going on, why Eddie is evil, and how he can be stopped. As players play through and finish the worlds, they'll unlock new mechanics and characters which allow them to progress through challenges and puzzles in other worlds. As Parsons put it, effectively the more you play the game, the more tools at your disposal, the more hidden fun play you can find and unlock. Funko Pops are obviously a key component of Funko Fusion. The capabilities of each character were determined on a case-by-case basis, as Tintin Games knew it must understand the character, understand the IP, and meet the player's expectations. A good example of this is He-Man. He is super strong with melee attacks, as he should be. Some characters may be better at melee, others may be better at ranged attacks, but all characters are capable of both. Each weapon and attack is made specifically for the character, such as a spreading ticket gun of Hot Fuzz. The balance comes down to giving each character strengths and weaknesses and allowing players to find their preferred playstyle among the roster. Furthermore, Funko Fusion taps into the innate abilities that any fandom would expect their favorite character to have. As Evans explained, is someone blocking your way and won't let you pass? Allison from Umbrella Academy can rumor them and get them to move. Need to burn that red vinyl that's stopping you from getting that collectible? Childs from The Thing comes equipped with a flamethrower that can melt it. Also, on that idea of puzzles, according to Evans, we knew that at the outset we wanted to challenge the player when designing the puzzles, but that they should not be frustrating. We also wanted to ensure that puzzles fit the flow of the levels they take place in. If a level features heavy combat, any puzzles shouldn't be too time-consuming or difficult to work out, whereas if the player has more time to think, we wanted to make them more complex and cerebral. We also try to ensure that puzzles have some inherent logic to the world they exist in. That's not to say that just because you know the IP, you'll know the answer immediately, but it might. When it came to designing fun play puzzles, which are the puzzles in the game you come back to solve with the characters and mechanics you've unlocked from other worlds, we wanted a scale of difficulty that challenged their knowledge of the game, using mechanics in new ways to solve the problem in front of them. After that, Evans went on to elaborate on molding. Molding is our version of crafting. While many characters have inherent mechanics, many of our puzzles can only be solved via the use of gadgets. These can only be molded by the player and are unlocked by finding the blueprints, which we call proto parts, in each level. Molding costs the player vinyl, which is our game currency collected from defeating enemies and destroying items in the world. As you progress, you unlock more and more gadgets, allowing you to complete more puzzles through the world. However, gadgets are not the only things that you can mold. Sodas give the player the ability to heal, as well as fun and interesting short-lived abilities such as super speed or invulnerability, as well as wonder weapons, which are awesome, fun weapons that the player can use to devastate enemies. These are all available once the player has found the proto parts for them. After that, Parsons would go on to elaborate on the post-game. Once the story is completed in Funko Fusion, there is so much more to discover, whether that is the secret cameo quests that span across the worlds, the hidden cameo levels, or the hidden secrets and unlockable hidden characters and variants. The game definitely has a huge amount to play and find and enjoy once the credits have rolled. Funko Fusion lets players indulge their fandom, but as part of an original story. The simplest way to describe it is that Eddie is the classic villain with a desire for world domination, with dark possession powers that are twisting the various worlds, characters, and IPs present in Funko Fusion. Players will have to stop him. As Evans explained, Eddie is the prime mover for the chaos that ensues in all the worlds we visit. It's our own little twist and way of weaving our story into what he has already established. Then Dudley would go on to elaborate on Eddie. For Eddie Funko, we went through quite a few iterations between Funko, the Tintin character team, and the Tintin concept team. We got a brief from Funko about how they compared Freddy and Eddie to characters like Superman and Bizarro. We took inspiration from 60s Americana. In my head, I always thought about the outfits from the movie Grease as inspiration. Some initial designs looked more like high school jock, but going back and forth with Funko, we eventually settled on a cooler bike guy aesthetic, going with a messy slick back hairstyle and cool biker jacket with his own Eddie logo on the back, while still keeping a little bit of Freddy by retaining his classic bow tie. Dolan would then go on to say about Eddie, we were given the brief to make an evil, corrupted version of Freddy with this character, and it was great to reflect that in his movements in a fun, over-the-top way. A lot of his posing involves him hunching over, wringing his hands together, or generally looking like he's up to no good. Even when walking and running around, he leans forward with his arms outstretched like a cartoon villain chasing someone down in a corridor. What's interesting is how Funko Fusion still extends the love of fandom to Eddie. In a prior Game Rant interview, Jason Biscoff, VP for Licensing and Business Development at Funko, explained that Eddie is meant to be Freddy's antithesis, to personify the opposite of a Funko fan. If Freddy is the ultimate fan, then Eddie is the ultimate critic, because ultimately everybody has a place in the Funko table. Eddie in many ways sounds like the anti-fan, which is an interesting story direction for Funko Fusion. But at the heart of that is still the conscious choice for Funko Fusion to keep fandom at the forefront of every aspect of the game. Fandoms often celebrate the games or IPs they form around, but Funko Fusion is a celebration of the very core idea of fandom. That idea has been around for over 100 years, from baseball to Funko, and fandom itself is definitely something worth celebrating. If nothing else, it seems Funko Fusion will be a herald for a golden age of fandom.